put out a video a couple weeks ago about the billionaires that want to reprogram you. So let's just see how far down the rabbit hole we're going, and just how much I'm gonna want to sleep with one eye open tonight, shall we?
Transhumanism, the philosophy/fad that says humans shouldn't just use technology to make life a little bit easier. They should use technology to completely redefine what it means to be human. We're talking brain chips, reprogramming DNA, and uploading your consciousness to the cloud. Today, we're going to break it all down. I'm King Trout, and I don't...
God, he's going to be talking about Neuralink, isn't he? Oh, fuck. He's about to put Elon on blast, isn't he? Oh, fuck.
don't trust wireback clankers. Transhumanism is basically a philosophical and cultural movement wherein the idea is to use technology not just to improve our lives, but to fundamentally change at its core what it means to be a human by upgrading or enhancing our physical and mental capacities at its.
Damn it! Let's start with the cat girls. Come on, Elon. I'm waiting to become one of the great cat girls. I got the ears. See? I got the ears. Come on, Elon. I'm waiting. I will be first in fucking line the minute you start saying, we can do anime cat girls now. I'll be first in line.
Heart, transhumanism says that biology is a limitation, and that through the use of technology, this limitation can be overcome. The end game is a so-called post-human future. Beings who are smarter, stronger, longer-lived, and potentially even immortal or non-biological. A few of the goals of transhumanism are genetic engineering, designing human beings to be healthier, smarter, or better adapted. Brain-computer interfaces, plugging your brain directly into a machine for direct communication or boosted intelligence. Life extension, using biotechnology, nanotechnology, and AI to radically extend the human lifespan. Mind uploading, transferring your consciousness to a computer so you can theoretically live forever. And
wait, was about to say
to a computer so you can theoretically live forever. And cyborg enhancements, implants, robotics, or nanotech augmentations that would give you new abilities. Sounds great.
There it is. I was waiting for that. Hang on. I was waiting for that. I'll move over here for this section. I was waiting for the reference.
Robotics or nanotech augmentations that would give you new abilities. Sounds great, right?
I was waiting for it.
About that. Where did it all start? Well, the term transhumanism first popped up in 1957, courtesy of a man named Julian Huxley. If that last name sounds familiar, it's because he's the brother of author Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley, who famously wrote the novel Brave New World, which will become hilariously ironic when you find out what his brother was proposing. Christmas at the Huxley home must have been very awkward. Julian wasn't quite as fun as his brother. He was a biologist, he was UNESCO's first director, and he was also a eugenicist. Basically, his elevator pitch for transhumanism was, what if we use technology to make people better? Also, no follow-up questions on what it means to be better. Huxley's 1957 essay painted a vision of the future of humanity, transcending its limitations. Wow, sounds great. And not shockingly at all, the essay reeks of elitism. Having coined the term transhumanism, it kind of floated around in the ether in fringe futurist circles until the 1990s, when it went full professional. Enter the World Transhumanist Association. Think of it as Comic-Con, in that it's full of greasy nerds. But these greasy nerds want to edit your DNA. They later rebranded as Humanity Plus, because adding a plus sign makes everything sound better. Or like a fucking streaming service.
I even set you up with all the pluses. Disney Plus? Yep. Paramount Plus? Uh-huh. Apple TV Plus? Oh boy, yeah. ESPN Plus? Yeah, huh? CNN Plus? Yep. Keanu Reeves Plus? Yep. Fisher Price Plus? Yep.
Humanity Plus. They wrote manifestos, held conferences, and attempted to convince everyone that cyborg upgrades were serious philosophy, not just the plot to like 24 movies. from the late 80s. Currently, their mission statement is that they want people to be better than well, which sounds like the bullshit slogan to a pyramid scheme where they're selling smoothies.
It's a
Like, Bang energy drink, anybody? Yeah, it sounds really fucking familiar with... Like, fuck me.
It's a pyramid scheme.
It's not a pyramid scheme, it's a reverse funnel system.
Turn it upside down.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
God damn it!
They aim to achieve the goal of extra P, which is just their $10 word for immortality. Who is pushing...
Oh, for God's sake. I was wondering... They reversed entropy. Oh my God, they took entropy, and of course, if they going in the reverse would be N, the reverse of N is X. Oh, for fuck's sake. Of course they did. Jesus fuck.
for this movement? Well, there's a few high-profile people. Futurists like Ray Kurzweil, an inventor, Google executive, and man who predicted that by 2045, humans and AI will merge in a glorious singularity. He takes 80 supplements a day so he can live long enough to see this happen, which means
Jesus.
either he knows something we don't, or he's just brewing a big old batch of kidney stones. Man,
I go
really
with part
likes
B.
having expensive piss. Kurzweil's pitch is always shining. Immortality, intelligence upgrades, eternal youth. It's like a TED Talk meets a timeshare scam. There's Nick Bostrom, Oxford philosopher and founder of the Future of Humanity Institute. He's the guy who asks the serious questions like, what if an advanced AI wipes us out? Or what if reality is just a simulation? Or...
Oh my God, he's pulling up that shit. So this is someone that has watched Terminator one too many times, or Total Recall the guy needs to just admit he's a Schwarzenegger fan. He's watched all of Schwarzenegger's movies, and Terminator and Total Recall just resonated with him. So what if Skynet's gonna take us out, or what if we're actually living in a simulation a la Total Recall? Like, seriously, dude, you need to just admit it, okay?
what if we accidentally create a race of post-human super beings who consider what was once considered a normal human being to be subhuman and scum? He's serious, academic, and deeply unsettling. And despite the fact that he spent his entire philosophical career finding reasons why advancing with this technology could be a bad thing, he still pushes for it to take place. Which I find very odd. Also, one time he got caught using the gamer word in his Oxford emails.
Hang on, let me read that. The closure of Bostrom Center is a further blow to the effective altruism and long-termism. For fuck's sake, do we have to ism at fucking everything? Movements that the philosopher had spent decades championing, and which in recent years have become mired in scandals related to racism, sexual harassment, and financial fraud. Bostrom himself issued an apology last year after a decades-old email surfaced in which he claims blacks are more stupid than whites and used the N-word.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Fucking hell.
Wherein he also said that blacks are less intelligent than whites.
Yeah.
And he wants to be in charge of editing DNA to select for desired traits.
Like, I know Connor's gonna say it, but boy, this sounds kind of fucking familiar, don't it? See, kids on the internet, kids out in YouTube land, the Gen Zers and Gen Alphas that watch my videos on the internet and on YouTube. See, this is what actual Nazism is about. This is what the Nazis actually did. They wanted to actually control people's genes through selected breeding to literally breed the quote unquote master race and to eliminate all those that don't qualify genetically speaking in this regard. See, that's what actual Nazis did. They literally genocided people to create the quote unquote master race. Okay? Herein endeth the lesson.
Then there's the billionaires. Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Peter Thiel. Some guys with a little more money than empathy. Musk pushes Neuralink. What if your brain could connect directly to Twitter? I can't do a good Musk. I don't know. He's got a weird way of talking. Strange cat. Peter Thiel is funding longevity research so that he can live forever. He also...
Oh, and by the way, with Neuralink, I believe they're actually into human trials right now. I'm reasonably sure that they've actually started implanting Neuralink into people. Like this is actually going forward. There's like I saw their website where they basically did like a breakdown video of how to use your Neuralink. Yeah, they're actually doing it. I'm pretty sure that at least one person already has the Neuralink installed.
Peter Thiel is funding longevity research so that he can live forever. He also swaps out his blood for the blood of teenagers. And if you watch the news, he has been saying some very strange things about his opinions as to what the Antichrist will appear as.
Oh, no.
What a weird group of people, man. Then, there's Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. He's been busy selling his AI upgrades while investing heavily in embryo selection startups. Because apparently predictive analytics now applies to which fetus will have the better jump shot. Jamie, pull up the clip.
Suck my dick and don't forget to work the balls. Kobe.
Institutions like the previously mentioned Humanity Plus, biotech startups, and think tanks are also pushing for these ideas. These aren't conspiracy groups meeting in smoke-filled rooms. You know, they're very public about what they want to happen. Essentially, the pitch is, hey, mortality sucks. Pay us a fuckload of money and maybe your grandkids will be half clanker. Sorry, my biases are showing. So, if I take such issue with transhumanism...
Is it 12, Lupus? Okay. I wasn't sure of the number. So 12 people have had the Neuralink implanted in them. And I'm reasonably sure that at present, the only people receiving the Neuralink are very specifically selected medical patients. Like I want to say it's people that are, I think, quadriplegic. Like they're using the Neuralink on quadriplegics so they can access the computer. Because that's the whole purpose of the Neuralink is so you can access the computer and use a computer when your hands don't work. So it is a very specific criteria of whom they are implanting the Neuralink into currently.
What exactly are the problems? Well, let's talk about them. For starters, there's the question of retaining human dignity. Francis Fukuyama, a political philosopher with a very fun name to say, Francis Fukuyama, has said that transhumanism is the most dangerous idea in the history of humankind. Now, why did Francis Fukuyama say this? Well, he argued that our entire political system is based off of equality. So if there is a group of people who are engineered to be better in one way or another, you've essentially tiered rights. There would end up being rights that only applied to a certain category of people. There's the fear of financial inequality, because especially in the beginning, these upgrades won't be free, they'll be incredibly expensive. So the rich will buy immortality and genetic boosts, while the poor can fuck off to the bargain bin of evolution. It would...
And you see that dystopia. They actually had in Love, Death, and Robots, one of their shorts actually broached on this, where the rich were all immortal, living in like a cloud city, whereas the poors were living down below in the dregs, and they were not immortal. And they also couldn't have babies. They couldn't breed. They would not allow the poors to breed. So that way the rich could stay in power because they wouldn't get overrun by the poor. So they kept their boot on the poors, not allowing them to breed. They were not immortal.
As
but
Orwell's
the
Animal
rich
Farm
could.
says, some are more equal than others.
Oh, yeah. They're turning that into a kid's movie. Did you know that? They're turning side tangent, but they're turning Animal Farm into a fucking animated kids film with Seth Rogen. Let that sink in. They're turning Animal Farm. A story about fascism into a child's movie starring Seth Rogen. Fuck, I hate Hollywood.
Create a system of hereditary inequality on steroids. Imagine a future where upper class literally means genetically superior. The rest of us, permanent genetic peasants, cursed with seasonal allergies and myopia. One of the classic philosophical objections to transhumanism is the ship of Theseus thought experiment. The ship of Theseus thought experiment, of course, being when you imagine a ship sitting on a set of trolley tracks with a trolley barreling towards it. You have control over a lever. If you stand by and
Wait. Hold up.
objections to transhumanism is the ship of Theseus thought experiment. The ship of Theseus thought experiment, of course, being when you imagine a ship sitting on a set of trolley tracks.
Okay. Connor, quit fucking with us. This is not the ship of Theseus. He's fucking with us, Alex. I'm guessing he is 100% fucking with us, okay?
With the trolley barreling towards it. You have control over a lever. If you stand by and do nothing, the cat is both alive and dead
There we go.
simultaneously.
There
If
we
you pull
go.
the lever, all of this was just shadow puppets on a cave wall. But seriously, I respect your intelligence enough for you to know what the ship of Theseus thought experiment is. Applying that to
Okay. In case anyone is not familiar with the ship of Theseus thought process, ship of Theseus, the thought behind that is the ship Theseus was getting replaced board by board. As the boards become rotted, they get replaced, and the ship gets replaced board by board over the years until eventually none of the original boards that built the ship in the first place were made. It is all different new or different boards. And so the philosophical question is, if there are no original boards remaining in the construction of the ship of Theseus, is it still Theseus, or is it now a completely different ship? That is what the philosophical discussion of the ship of Theseus is that if so much of it gets replaced that none of the original remains, is it still the same ship?
transhumanism, basically the question is if we start replacing, brain function with computers, or organs with synthetic ones, or limbs with cybernetic ones, at what point do we no longer stay human? Transhumanists promise continuity, that you'll still remain you, but there is the philosophical question of whether a computer with your thoughts in it is you. There's the fear that humanity will lose its uniqueness. Political philosopher Michael Sandel warns that in a future where parents pick the genes of their children, the randomness or luck of the draw that makes us unique will go away. Life is no longer a gift, per se. If your kid is tall...
Yeah,
and
Revan? Yeah, Gattaca worked off of this concept too. Basically, like it kind of sort of worked off it. What it did is, it's not quite the same thing. The concept with Gattaca is you were privileged based on your genetics. So based upon your DNA, essentially, determined if you lived amongst the privileged or if you lived amongst the poor. So it's not quite the same because they didn't actually do experimentation in Gattaca. It's not like they were replacing them. It was just like, okay, do you have good genetic? Like everything, everything was based upon what your genetic profile looked like if you would live a life of privilege and luxury or if you'd live in like the slums. And, your intelligence didn't matter unless you had like perfect genetics. Like the whole concept is Jude Law is like I believe he was a brilliant he was like a really brilliant scientist, but he was disabled. He was born with a genetic defect that basically kept him disabled. He couldn't walk. And so he was who was it? Ethan Hawke did not have good genetics. He didn't have the perfect genetics. He was living in slums, and Jude Law basically helps him. Jude Law was considered perfect, and I think he didn't like the system or something. And he basically helped Ethan Hawke trick the systems by supplying him with like skin cells and blood to trick the sensors to make him think that he was Jude Law because everything was based upon genetics. So he had, the thumbprint, heart rates, stuff, recorded heart rates, stuff like that. And it wasn't about altering humans. It was more about like it was a society that worked off of selective breeding gains privilege more than replacing, people with genetic defects would get like replacements or something like that. So it's kind of in the same vein, but not really what we're talking about here.
Smart and good at violin. It's not, wow, how blessed. It's, yeah, we paid extra for that. Also, there's no more blaming anybody except your parents if you're screwed up in some way. If you suck at math, it's because your parents made bad customization options. And saving the best for last, we got the big one.
God, oh my God, this guy wants to do a character creator in real life. God, think about like how much you agonize over your customer character creator when you're first opening a new save. You want to get everything fucking correct. Now imagine doing that for your actual offspring. Like you actually have to go through a character customization, and it's not like you can do a reroll. It's not like you can respec. There's no respec involved here.
Catastrophic existential risk. Some transhumanist projects could literally bring about the end of humanity. There's the loss of control to superintelligence. Basically, if human minds are merged with artificial intelligence or outcompeted by artificial intelligence, we could live in a world where there are entities that are far, far smarter than us, but may not necessarily align with our human values. Even if the intentions are good, a misaligned artificial intelligence could accidentally bring about the end of humanity, i.e. if you asked the artificial intelligence to, quote, end human suffering. I mean, a legitimate way to end human suffering is to make human beings extinct. So that would technically bring about an end to it.
Well, the problem there is, who did the three, what the hell was his name? The 3 laws of robotics. Suck, I can't remember his name. Yes, Asimov. Thank you, Ryman. Yeah, there's Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, one of which is harm no human. So that's, that's always been like the quandary that fiction writers have to contend with whenever it comes to like the whole concept of the AI is wiping out humanity, is that you have Asimov's 3 primary laws, one of which is, you can't destroy yourself and you can't commit harm to a human. So it's one of the things that a lot of fiction writers have always had to contend with when trying to overcome the idea of basically AI taking over and trying to destroy humanity.
So that's a risk. There are the potential for genetic catastrophes. Germline editing, when you edit the sperm, eggs, or embryos, permanently alters human DNA. A single unforeseen mutation or ecological effect could cascade across generations. essentially breaking the human genome. If these changes spread widely, there is no undo button. We could lock into harmful traits indefinitely. There's the risk of irreversible social stratification. Imagine a world where there is a small select group of people who can afford boosted intelligence or increased disease resistance or radical extensions to the length of their life. That doesn't just create inequality, it creates post-human overlords versus baseline traditional human beings. And if that social structure locks in, humanity could essentially be divided into two castes, which some argue is a fate worse than extinction. There's the
Okay, if we think about it, we're kind of already there with the quote-unquote castes. I mean, think about it, right now, we already have an existing caste system right now of the rich and the not rich. That already exists. The millionaires and billionaires are in their own caste, and everyone else is in another caste. So realistically, we're already living in that world of a caste system. It's not official by any stretch of the imagination. It isn't. But it's there. It's been there since the beginning of humanity. This two-tier caste system has been around since the birth of humanity. Those that have the wealth are above those that don't have the wealth. Realistically, it's going to be like that to the end of time. Throwing this in with transhumanism just adds like basically just buffs the rich. All transhuman would do in terms of like the whole caste motif is it just gives the rich another buff to their caste stat, their tier caste. It just buffs them up a little bit. That's it'll just make them be able to put their boot on the necks of the poor even harder. Realistically, because with transhumanism, that's all going to the rich first. You will not see that going to the low or middle class. Won't happen. It's always the super rich that'll have it. Granted, maybe you'll turn it into a 3-caste system where you have the poors, the rich, and then the super rich. And the super rich are going to be the ones that have the genetic or cybernetic enhancements because they can afford it, like in Spain. So maybe it'll turn it from a 2-caste to a 3-caste.
There's the risk of unintended biological or ecological impacts. Enhanced, humans may interact with the environment in unpredictable ways. Engineered microbes, nanotech implants, or human-machine hybrids could trigger unforeseen pandemics or ecological disasters. Remember when DDT was considered a good thing before Silent Spring? And even a minor accident in one lab could have species-wide consequences. Imagine if while modifying a gene, a scientist accidentally creates a contagious form of stage 4 cancer. There is the risk for the loss of human agency.
Jesus.
The more we integrate with tech, i.e. sticking a computer chip in your brain, the easier it becomes for corporations or governments or AIs to take control of you. If autonomy disappears and human beings become programmable, many argue that is essentially the end of what we once knew as humanity.
Not wrong.
Also, if you cut me off in traffic and have a Neuralink, I'm going to use my Flipper Zero to make you gender dysphoric. There's the risk of civilizational collapse through misuse. We're human beings, so of course there will be enhancements designed for war. Think super soldiers, psychological modifications, or bioweapons. This could escalate international arms races. Plus, single misuse, a rogue state, terrorist group, what have you, could unleash the tools that would lead to the downfall of humanity. And there is the so-called value lock-in problem. If transhumanist tech allows for one ideology or corporation or regime to gain overwhelming power, we could be permanently locked in to their ideals. Their values could be frozen into the future. Humanity might not go extinct per se, but we could be trapped living under an authoritarian surveillance state or a techno-dictatorship. The world...
Okay, well, let's face it. That first part, some places are already there. Hi, UK. How you doing? let's face it, the UK is already basically under an authoritarian, how did he classify
An
it?
authoritarian surveillance state.
Let's face it, the UK is kind of already there, and they didn't need transhumanism to do it. I'm just saying, it's already there.
A techno-dictatorship. The world could also literally become the plot.
Dubai does it too,
I
Rep?
have no mouth and I must scream.
Not surprised.
Okay, let's be fair. Some of this tech is good. Pacemakers save lives, cochlear implants restore hearing, CRISPR can be used to resolve deadly genetic diseases. These are real, concrete benefits. But the line between therapy and enhancement is a little bit blurry. Fixing Huntington's disease? Good. Making sure that your child...
Morbidity, not Canada. I can definitively tell you, Canada does not have cameras fucking everywhere. Like, there are not public safety cameras fucking everywhere. And in fact, the law enforcement has told at least one person in Ontario who had Wi-Fi cameras set up on their house, actually told him to take it down because he was recording and broadcasting people driving like shit down the street and broadcasting it on the internet because the police weren't doing anything to stop it. He was actually ordered by the court to take down his cameras on his home because it was under a claim of, I think it was a breach of privacy because it was showing other houses or something, or showing the public street, or basically some bullshit. They were embarrassed because this guy was broadcasting all over the internet that the local law enforcement was not doing a fucking thing to stop reckless drivers from flying up and down the street, and so the police basically shut him down. So Canada is not into a Big Brother situation like the UK and Dubai. Not even close.
will grow up to be 6'5" with 160 IQ with your preferred hair and eye color? We're getting a little, there, yeah? So, what can we do about these risks? Well, for starters, we can slow down. Being cautious around technology with such very serious potential consequences isn't being a Luddite. It's being sane. And also, we should have a real debate. This isn't, do we want hoverboards? This is, where do we intend to go as a species? A topic that should probably involve more than just a few TED Talks. What is my opinion on transhumanism? Well, in case you haven't picked up through context clues over the past this amount of time, fuck transhumanism. I am of the opinion that attempting to play God is a bad idea. The road to hell is paved with etc., etc. Transhumanism promises shiny things. No aging, no disease, you'll think faster. Wow. But the critiques are screaming red flags. Inequality, coercion, surveillance, and also the existential risk for the erasure of humanity. Read up, argue, and decide where you stand, because the future of humanity shouldn't be decided by a handful of guys with 3 commas in their bank account. Version 1.0 of humanity is messy, imperfect, and kinda dumb. But baby, that's just what we are. As always, I've been King Trout. Thank you for watching. I'll see you when I see you. Love you. Bye.
But, well, at least I will not have to sleep with one eye open on this one.
Who would have thought that the slur of the future would be made by George Lucas?
No kidding. No kidding.